It's the AK Option Trader back at you again with another video edition of some technical analysis and commentary on the stock market. Let's get going. Last week was a brutal week for me. I mean, the market didn't do what I anticipated, and you should be able to change and adjust, which I did intraday, and a couple times. Sorry, a couple trades didn't work out. Still short a couple trades, which I am now underwater on, which I probably should have sold and I didn't. So we're going to see what happens here. But I just didn't like the way the market was setting up as far as things weren't making sense to me. It's not a normal setup. It's not what I'm used to, and I probably should just step away and try to get a feeling for what's going down. So let's look at it and see what we can see to shine some light, perhaps, huh? Let's get rid of studies on here just for a second. So here's the VIX. You can see the VIX is obviously, like we've been talking about since July, it's just been kind of messed up. Up and down, up and down. We got this broadening pattern. Well, that broadening pattern kind of gave way here, and we started seeing uptrend. I even drew an uptrend line, and this thing just started jumping like crazy. Took out support or resistance all over the place, and now it's giving it all back. So it's a teardrop down, long top wick here. It looks like it's heading back down. I would have said if it would have ended up on this 2162, we'd be looking for a bounce, but it took it out. So I don't know. Again, I'm not so clear on this. It's just a jumbled mess right now. There's really no direction. So it's range trading, but it wasn't moving in step with the market exactly either. So, there's days the VIX was up, the market was up. VIX was down, the market was down, so things were off, and that's what I was talking about. It's just a jumbled mess. Hard for me to judge, hard to see what's going on, but I surely did not believe in this rally, simply just for looking at in fact, I'll show you real quick before we get started here. I kept posting about this euro US dollar. Remember last week I said when it breaks out, it's going to be a big move out of this wedge, this flag right here, this bear flag, and it sure enough did. This is a pretty big break of this bear flag. This is a live picture right here. You can see it's kind of breaking down still some more. Down 0.0004 right now, 0.5, so it'll move more once the market opens. But with this going down, I thought for sure this would cause the market to tank as well, and it really didn't. So the key obviously here is going to be this area at the 1.4578. If it takes out this low, I think we're in for a lot more move down here on the euro US dollar. So that's one I've been watching all week, waiting for that breakdown for the market to fall, and it broke down and the market didn't fall. So that's one of the things I've been keeping my eye on. Here's the Dow. If I throw the studies back on there real quick, you can see the Bollinger Band compressing right here. Things are getting tighter, and when it got tighter over here, what happens? It goes up. It gets tighter here. What happens? It goes up. So anytime it compresses, it kind of leads to an up move, and that's what we're seeing right now. The compression of the Bollinger Bands. We see the 20 moving average still kind of moving down, but it's kind of widening away from the 50, signaling more potential upside. Again, this is the same type of thing I said on the euro US dollar. Was that when it breaks out of this wedge, I thought it'd be a pretty big break, and it was. Broke out, we touched support, picture perfect. I haven't changed this line. Picture perfect support, bounce back up. I thought we'd go sideways. I thought we'd stay within this candle for a couple days and then break down and come down towards this red line. Instead, we took this candle out and moved above this resistance, which I got to be honest, surprised me. I did not think we would take this out. In fact, I thought when we hit this, we'd be probably a great short entry. It was not. So I'm going to be watching this line right here. I think it's very key. Very key. We're still above our highs. We're still above the, this 469.80 line here. But I just didn't think we'd take this out. I thought it would end up to a drop down there. So if we look at the S&P 500 and see what it looks like, if I would double click on it, perhaps we could see it. Now this thing is a little bit different, slightly. If we put our studies back in, you can see the Bollinger Bands are tightening here too. But this one is not taking off near as much to me. It's kind of reaching the underside of this little support we have here, or this little resistance, pardon me, from this small up move. We've been hitting it, trailing down, hit it here. We didn't go down. We got near it, but we didn't go down. What was curious to me is I thought once we hit this 50% fib, which is a long-term fib, I've always been saying once we hit this, I thought we would drop hard. We didn't. It looks like it almost wants to come back up and retest it. I don't know if it'll make it. Perhaps it will, but I don't think so. The RSI is still trending down, still dropping down. To see this thing come up and bust through there and hit this thing, I don't know. Anything can happen, and it could. And I don't know if it would break through. I'd imagine this is going to be really strong resistance again. I would think for us to break through, we'd have to drop down here like to 1025 and then go back at it. That would be my thought, anyway. But stranger things have happened. Let's look at the Nasdaq. All right, here's the Nas. Nas still very sideways, very hard to trade right now. You can see if you put a line right here, we stayed beneath this high, which is at the 2205 line. So we stayed clear beneath that. We even stayed beneath this close at 2204. So we're staying down. We closed beneath this resistance here. Still looks the most bearish to me out of all the indices right now. So I should be trading short. If I'm trading shorts or options, I probably should be doing it on the Qs. And I did it on the spiders this week. Did not work out to my advantage. You can see this trend line right here. Put this uptrend line right here. It's been touched 3 times now, coming down to 4th. I imagine it could probably take support again, but each time you touch it closer, you see how far away this touch to this touch was, and then from here to here. If it touches again in the next day or two, it'd be easy for it to take it out. It's really testing that line. And we could even draw another one up from here, and you got yourself a nice little wedge there. So sometimes I have to draw these twice and move them. So you got a nice little wedge for a breakout or breakdown to the downside there. So keep an eye on that. The UUP, man, that thing has been just taking off like a rocket. Again, that, you know, it does the opposite of the Euro US dollar usually. That's why I showed you that Euro US dollar. I've been watching that a lot lately, and just things aren't adding up. This market should be falling with this dollar moving up, with the euro crashing. Are things going to change, or are we going to move in step now with the dollar? I don't know. I know there's a lot of talk of inflation, raising rates, stuff like that. So we'll keep an eye on all that. But right now, things aren't adding up with this market. So I don't know if I trust this up move again. I know it sounds like a broken record or not. You can see the volume's kind of dissipated into this up move here. Another thing I look at, and you can see these spikes up like this right here. But for the most part, the volume just keeps dissipating down there. So let's look at some individual stocks. And that's what I'm going to keep playing mostly, is the individuals, just because they seem to make a little bit more sense to me. Here we got Bed Bath Beyond. Kind of got a tweezers tops. The problem with this is I would prefer it up here. If it was up here, it'd be more bearish. Since it's sideways, it's not as strong, but still, you got a real strong resistance right here that's forming up at this 39 area. So keep an eye on that, and I would imagine having a second candle like this, we're going to look for this thing to drop. So I'd keep an eye on that. I think it's got earnings coming up pretty soon. Watch for that as well, okay? So AKS is one. Another one here, this is AKS. It's got an inverse head and shoulders kind of forming here that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. So here's the left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Or some people call this a couplet handle right here. Usually it leads to breakout. So it's going to come up here, retest this, maybe hold off, take off. If this holds, it's going to drop. It'll probably drop hard. But this is the key area. I probably wouldn't play it till it reaches that 2164 line to make my trade on that. And that's AKS. Here's Dow. And you can see this is in a channel, but it kind of broke out. It gave away the support right here on the bottom. So you can see it right here. We took out the support. We took out the 20. We took out support. We're on the 50. The 50 held, 50 moving average held, but we've got kind of a hanging man down here, or hammer down here to tend with. So a retest of this line here would probably be a good short area. That's one I might look for here in the future. ECL is another one, Ecolab. I like this a lot. I like patterns that have histories, and I like the way to react. You see me do it all the time. I show you what happened in the past. It tends to repeat itself. So here we've got kind of a bearish engulfing near this resistance. It dropped a good amount, down to 44.50 from, at the end of this day it was at 47. So same thing here. We've got kind of a piercing candle type here, or a shadow candle. It takes over half of this candle here. So we go down from this close here at 46.06, and we dropped all the way down here to 44. So $2 move. Same type of thing here. We didn't get as high, but over half this candle body's taken over. So I'm looking for this thing down. Perhaps it didn't make a new low here, and maybe it won't make a new low, so I'll be very cautious. But I think this might be a good shortable trade here. Just like the pattern, like the setup. Just thought I'd throw it in there. That's one we could be looking at for the near future trade. Let's do one more. Here's APC. APC came up. It's retesting this resistance line. You can see it here, bottom of the gap, right here at the open here. It's been breached a couple times, but I've been watching this. I think this will hold. I love these moves off the bottom Bollinger Band like this, and then a drop, same type of thing off the Bollinger Band, finding support. I'd like to see this come up a little bit more, and then I'd be looking for that to drop. So anyway, we've got a little bit of news coming out next week. Building permits, we got initial claims on Thursday, core PPI on Tuesday. So starting Tuesday, we're going to have some news. So let's keep an eye out. Trade well and prosper with its speed. AK Option Trader signing off.
back to the place